Too many children and young people are diagnosed with disorders like ADHD and ADD. And too many people are suffering from stress and anxiety and depression and just not being well. And it's not okay. It's not okay. Something is wrong. Something is wrong in our society, in the way we live in our so-called modern civilization. And I know what's wrong and what to do about it.
Hi there everyone, and welcome to my garden and my home here in the middle of the forest where I live. We are in Denmark, Scandinavia, the northmost part of Europe. So if you're watching from somewhere far away from here, now you have just a little idea of where we are. I'm doing these kind of campfire talks about what's coming to my mind, what's going on in my life here in the forest, but mostly what's going on in that crazy world out there, far away from my quiet and peaceful place here in the forest. Today it's not a big campfire, it's just a small one, because I'm just gonna make me a nice cup of coffee with this espresso machine. And today I'm gonna talk about something that's been on my mind for some years now, and something that I'm sure more and more of you people out there also can relate to. And that's been, increasing or growing, and the last few years almost, I would say, exploding all around us in society. And that is the way we put on these diagnoses on our children and our young people. We diagnose them with ADHD, ADD, and similar what we call mental disorders, and also at the same time we see more and more people suffering from anxiety, depression, stress, and not just being well in life overall. So something is going on in our modern world, and it's not good. And I have an idea of what's going on, and I will share that with you. But first, I'm gonna make a cup of coffee. And I have to say that everything I'm gonna say in this talk is, it's my opinion, and yeah, I'm not a doctor or psychiatrist, so it's my opinion. I do have a master in psychology from way back, and I did actually raise a son myself. And he was diagnosed with ADHD, so I would say, and that's from my perspective, that a lot of these modern diseases, I believe they actually do not come from within. I think they come from outside, the environment, the society we live in. Actually, let's take a little step, no, a giant step back in time, because evolution is very slow, and evolution takes millions of years, we know that. But our society and the way we live today in the modern world is probably only a few hundred years old. And if we go back, say, 1,000 years, where I live here in Denmark, in Scandinavia, we were so-called Vikings, and living according to the Old Norse belief or religion, which was a more animistic way of believing and living. So from that point, we've changed a lot to how we live today and what we believe in, and how our society works and all that stuff. Our school systems, our work places, and yeah. everything is very different. If we go 10,000 years back to the Stone Age and even further back, how we as human beings lived were very, very different. But we've changed the way we live, both the way we live together as human beings and together with the nature around us, and everything is changed, but the evolution hasn't followed along. So we haven't changed biologically and psychologically. We haven't changed at all during those 1,000 or 10,000 years. So what we're trying to do now is forcing this evolutionary change with medicine and restrictions and education and all that kind of stuff. So we're trying to force a change, both biologically and psychologically. But the result, yeah, it's more like treating symptoms than actually treating the real problem here. It's just to put it in perspective. We are trying to live in ways that are very different from who we are as a species, as human beings, as the animal we are. You know, one thing I know for sure is that we people are different. We're just different people with different skills and characteristics and personalities, and yeah, biologically, genetically built different. Overall, of course, we are the same species, but that said, people are very different. And how we work or how we fit into the world is very different. And that's okay. That's just a term of life. It's always been that way. We're different. Yeah, and the way you're supposed to live are more and more defined by society, not by yourself, but by society and by your surroundings, by the place you live. And this definition of how you're supposed to live also includes how you're supposed to act and think and you know, fit into society. And that means that there's less and less room for being different, actually. You can't fit into society and have a normal life if you do not adapt or adjust to these structures and to the way you're supposed to, or actually forced to live in this modern world. If you do not fit into this, for that we have developed some new words to our vocabulary, and that is, for instance, unadapted and unadjusted. I don't really like those words and those predicates or labels we put on children and young people or any people. It kind of says that you're wrong, you're malfunctioning, and I really don't believe that's true. Actually, on the contrary. What is true is that society is out of order because more and more people are suffering from yeah, all kind of disorders like stress or anxiety or depression, and that says a lot about what's going on, I think, because what is going on is that the way we live our lives today is so far from who we are as people as a species, as human beings. And the symptoms are what we see. The symptoms are all these so-called disorders, but still it's only treating the symptoms. We are not dealing with the issue, what is really wrong. The way out of this situation that we have put ourselves in this modern, at least the Western part of the world, is not more medicine and more therapy. On the contrary, it's more like finding back to a more natural way of living, finding back to our more authentic inner nature. Is the society we build, defining people, or should we define society? Shouldn't we define society? It's boiling now. Don't know if you can hear it, but so there you have it. Cheers. Oh, strong, good cup of coffee, just the way I love it. And damn hot. We have to look at ourselves from a distance to be able to understand this, because we are getting so used to how we live, how society is built, and how we are taught to think about ourselves and the world, that we are just accepting all this as a truth, as a fact, as the only way things can be, but it isn't. And I think that's my most important point for this talk, that we don't question it that much. We just accept that's the way it is, and that's how we teach our children and raise our children to think the same way, and that way it just continues. But we have to stop up. We have to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, is this the right way? Is it the right way to live and to build our society? When we can see all these diseases or mental diseases or suffering in both adults and children, we do not actually live the way we want to, the way we feel we want to. The only right way to live is the one way that society has decided for you. If you doesn't fit in, that's because there's something wrong with you and not society. We have to get rid of this kind of thinking and labeling people as wrong if they doesn't fit in. But society doesn't have room for differences. It's not efficient, and it's causing too many troubles in society, politically, etc. If you're different, and if you choose to live in another way, and if you choose not to accept this uniformity. I think my point is that we have to stop using all these words, disorder and malfunctioning and unadapted and unadjusted, etc., on young people and children, and telling them that they are wrong, because they're not. Actually, they are the quite opposite. They are right. They are right about being more authentic, until we squeeze them into the system, schooling them, educating them, until they hopefully will fit, and if not, we give them medicine until they hopefully will fit. I think it's because, there's several reasons, because one thing is power. it's easier to retain power and execute power if people do not make a lot of trouble. So the more uniform the population is, the more we follow the rules and regulations, the less we think, the less critical thinking the population have. All these things are ways to control people and to control society and to execute power and retain power. Another reason is that modern world, Western world, is built on growth, and growth is depending on people working more and more, and this engine room of the modern society depends on again, people not differing that much. People just, you know, lining up, going to work, fitting in, and not making too much trouble. And that's why we don't have room for people that doesn't fit in. That's why we don't have room for people with so-called disorders. Even that we call it disorders says it all, because we have an order. And if you do not follow that order, fit into that order, you have a disorder. You are actually a disorder. You are malfunctioning. It's an awful and disgusting way of looking at people. And people would not look at each other that way. A system would. So we are getting or being more and more enslaved by a system. And yeah, I know we built that system ourselves, but maybe it just got out of hand, or maybe we put it into the hands of a few powerful people that do not want us the best. What I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with people, at least not most of us. There's something wrong with the system that we are forced to fit into. We are who we are, and we want to live the way that fits us the best, and that not necessarily is the way that society is built. And if we can't live in a world where we have the freedom to be who we are, be different, live the way we want to, live in different ways, that's not a world I would recommend. That's not a world that will end well. I actually think it is possible to change society, to change how we build up all these structures and systems, so they actually are built for us and not for the system. So no, I'm not saying that we should go back to the way it were in the Stone Age. On the contrary, I'm happy that we can live until we are 100 years old now, because of what we've achieved in healthcare and curing diseases and all that stuff. But we've come too far away from who we are, and we can actually change society, change the way we live, and change the way we live together with each other in ways that will support us as human beings instead of suppressing us. Yeah, but I think that's about it for today. I really appreciate that you chose to spend some of your time listening to me. And hopefully I will see you again to another campfire talk and another cozy cup of coffee. But until then, I wish you all the best, and hopefully you will have a wonderful time out there. See you next time. Cheers and bye.